Welcome everyone to this Privacy Espresso episode. Today I'm joined by Paula Bauer from the Bolivian law firm CR&F ROJAS Abogados, and I'm pleased to speak with her about how to deal with privacy in countries where there is not a regulation in place. So without further delay, I would like to turn it over to you, Paula, asking what company without an organic law or an authority under the privacy perspective should do and why they should respect in some way privacy regulation or the concept and principles of privacy.
Okay, thank you, Alessandro. Thank you, Privacy Rules. Hi, everyone. Interesting question. I would like to start with three words: community, communication, and reputation. And we will go from that proposition. And well, a little disclaimer first, all the information provided in this talk has been gathered by me, so they do not represent an official position of the firm I belong to. And then just a little story to tell you. Back in 2012, during this running competition, there was a Kenyan runner, you can see it in the slide, who stopped abruptly, believing he just finished the race because he didn't understand the signs, he got confused. And then a second runner, Ivan Fernandez, you can see him there too, started to shout at the Kenyan team to move forward and get along with the race. And the Kenyan team didn't understand Spanish, so they didn't understand what Ivan was saying. So he noticed that and he decided to push them physically towards the finishing line. At the end of the race, a journalist asked Ivan, why did he do that? Why did he encourage the other team to win, and why didn't he try to win the race? Ivan answered that he has the idea of a future community, whereas each other are pushed by all the members of that community in order to reach common goals. And that's a dream he had. And the journalist insisted, why did you do that? You had the race. You could have won the race. And Ivan answered, what would be the honor of winning that medal? What would my mother say about it? There's no honor in winning when he had already won the race. He was first. So let's keep that idea in mind: community, communication, and reputation. Also, to move forward, we have to understand the current context in which Bolivia is in these difficult times worldwide. So we have the Constitution, which acknowledges the right to privacy as a civil right of people to maintain their privacy, their family privacy, and also recognizes the Privacy Protection Action, formerly known as ABS data, which is an action granted to people who believe they are illegitimately prohibited to access their information, modified it, eliminated from databases in any physical means. So that's the Carta Magna, granting a protection to people who are somehow restricted to access to their private data in any databases or public or private means. There are also scattered sectoral regulations, specifically in the telecom sector and the banking sector, that regulate the ways to maintain and guarantee confidentiality of private data of persons, especially in the telecommunication services. But other than that, we do not have an organic law or a national authority, competent authority, to reach to in case of violations, data breaches, and so. So how do we manage this situation in Bolivia? There are several companies that have programs, compliance programs to set in different companies in order to ascertain risks and detect risky areas that need more attention than are in certain companies, such as could be the accounting department that shares a lot of confidential financial data, or even the marketing area could be subject to these violations of data privacy. And they managed to create programs to assess those weak points of each company and plan and a strategy to overcome those weak points of said companies. Why we state those three words to start with in each company? Because in order to comply with those programs, which are also reflecting principles reflected in other regulations in other countries, such international regulations, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, GDPR, of course, they take those principles into consideration, and also the internal regulations that we mentioned before, to prepare programs and communicate those programs within the company. Said communication must include the community concept in regards to the company is constituted by such as an organism with all the members, and this community must take into consideration the responsibility concept, such as the accountability concept within the company and outside the company, reflected towards third parties, distributors, partners, commercial partners, and that responsibility must carry on administrative, civil, and also criminal responsibilities that must be taken into consideration by all the members of the community that is a company, from the highest levels to the least hierarchical levels. The way of communicating these programs could be monthly, semi-annual, depending on the size of the company and of the members of the company, departments involved, etc. And this communication must be transmitted orally and in several ways that are comprehensive with all the members of the company, taking into consideration that some members might be more visual and others more auditive. And so in that case, you should use communication techniques that include oral transmission and also visual, such as mental maps, and not only reading exactly what the regulation said verbatim, but also communicating the point of belonging to a community and all the responsibility we mentioned before. And all these concepts are reflected in reputation. As we said previously, the image the company must reflect inside their members and outside, related to those social partners we were mentioning afterwards, in order also to reflect the ethics tacitly implied from the incorporation of the company. Well, I finally want to talk to you about mycelia. These are membranes interconnected in the same way that our brain cells or even the internet are interconnected. They communicate from the roots of the forests, and it has been demonstrated that through that communication they also transmit nutrients to other trees, other plants in the forest. And when one tree detects that their children are requiring those nutrients and food, they transmit that nutrients and food through the nets they are connected through, and they feed the children that need more food to grow and reach the size and strength of the other children. Such as mycelia, companies are interconnected community that through a due diligence that is prepared by those certifying companies we mentioned before, can detect the areas that need more information, more workshops, more communication, more training, and achieve a company common goal, a common objective that will reflect a security message inside the company and outside the company, and also reflect the reputation. This will give the company an added value that generates trust relationships with third parties. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Paula. We ran out of our time, so I would like to thank you for being here with the presentation, and our followers in particular for the recording. So thank you all. Thank you, Paula, again. And see you and stay safe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alessandro, and Privacy Rules again.